The knife hit the plate. Not dropped. Not placed. Hit. The sound cut through the private dining room like a gunshot, sharp, metallic, final. Every enforcer at Leon Volkov's table went still. Hands froze mid-reach. Breathing stopped. Eyes locked on the alpha who never, ever flinched. Except now. Now, Leon Volkov, king of the Northern Syndicate, the man who'd orchestrated 17 territorial wars without blinking, had gone perfectly, impossibly still. Because his son was crying. Not loudly. The pup never cried loudly. It was the small, choked whimpers that destroyed Leon. The kind that meant his boy was shutting down again. Folding inward where no amount of power or money or threats could reach him. The pup's shoulders trembled. Again. Sir. The private chef's voice barely registered as sound. More like a vibration of terror. I can prepare something else. Anything. Just tell me what he... Get out. 2 words. Flat. Empty. The chef fled. The servers followed. The enforcers didn't move, not without direct orders, but they might as well have been furniture for all the life in their eyes. Leon stared at his son. His son. 5 years old. Diagnosed with severe sensory processing disorder at 3. Nonverbal for the last 8 months. Refused food from everyone except no one. He refused food from everyone now. The doctors called it sensory rejection, texture aversion, neurological rigidity. Leon's men called it weakness. Leon called it his failure, though he'd never said the words aloud. Never would. Alphas didn't fail. Alphas conquered. Alphas fixed things. But this he couldn't fix. He'd hired the best pediatric specialists in 3 countries. Tried every therapy, every medication, every experimental treatment the black market could provide. Nothing worked. His son was disappearing in front of him. 72 pounds at 5 years old. Dark circles under eyes too big for his face. Ribs Leon could count through his shirt. And Leon who could make grown men weep with a look. Who'd built an empire on fear and precision and absolute control. Couldn't get his own child to eat. The pup whimpered again. Leon's hand moved toward him, then stopped. He'd learned not to touch during meltdowns. Learned the hard way. The screaming. The panic. The way his son would claw at his own skin just to escape the sensation of being held. Alpha instinct screamed at him to fix this. Protect this. Dominate this. But dominance didn't work on a nervous system that couldn't process the world. Please. The word cracked. Leon didn't beg. Ever. But here now, in this room where no one could see. Please. Just one bite. The pup's breathing hitched. Faster. Faster. No, not again. Stop. The voice came from behind. Quiet. Steady. Not a command, a suggestion. Leon's head snapped around so fast his neck cracked. There, standing 3 feet inside the doorway, was a man Leon had forgotten existed. An Omega, male, slim build, maybe 5'9". Dark hair pulled back in a neat tie that had probably been perfect 2 hours ago, but now showed signs of stress. A few strands loose, the knots slightly off-center. He wore borrowed clothes. One of Leon's button-downs, sleeves rolled to his elbows, and dark slacks that didn't quite fit right at the waist, because his stomach was round. Not much. Not enough to be obvious under the shirt's loose drape. But Leon had eyes trained to notice weaknesses, vulnerabilities, leverage points. This Omega was pregnant. And if the medical scan from earlier was accurate, virgin pregnant, which was about as common as a unicorn bleeding diamonds. Leon's enforcers had dragged him in 4 hours ago. Collateral damage from a port raid gone sideways. Wrong truck, wrong papers, wrong life. They'd thrown him in a holding room pending processing, which meant Leon would decide later whether to ransom him, sell him, or just cut losses and let him go. Leon hadn't thought about him since. Until now. Now, the Omega was walking toward Leon's son. Slowly, carefully. Posture relaxed but deliberate, like he was approaching a spooked animal. Leon's hand went to his gun. Don't, the Omega said. Not in fear. Not in challenge. In certainty. Like he already knew Leon would pull it. Like he'd calculated the risk and decided it was worth it anyway. Leon's eyes narrowed. You have 3 seconds to explain why you're in this room. Your son is in distress. The Omega's gaze didn't waver, didn't drop in submission, didn't spark with defiance, just held. The food isn't the problem. The pressure is. You don't know. I do. 2 words. Calm. Absolute. The Omega reached the table, crouched down. Not in front of the pup, but to the side so his body wasn't blocking any exits. His movements were slow, telegraphed, non-threatening. He picked up the spoon. Leon's finger tightened on the trigger. The Omega dipped the spoon into the broth, lifted it, blew on it gently, not performing, not making it a show, just cooling it. Then he set it down on the edge of the plate and waited. The pup's breathing was still fast, shallow, panicked, but his eyes had opened, just a crack. Watching, the Omega didn't speak, didn't coo, didn't try to coax or convince. He just sat there, one hand resting loosely on his knee, the other near, but not touching the spoon. 10 seconds passed. 20. 30. Leon's jaw clenched so hard his molars ached. Then, the pup's hand moved. Slowly, trembling, his fingers reached for the spoon. The Omega didn't react, didn't smile, didn't celebrate. He just allowed it. The pup lifted the spoon, hesitated, looked at the Omega. The Omega gave the smallest, most microscopic nod. Permission. The spoon went to the pup's mouth. One swallow. The room forgot how to breathe. Leon felt something crack inside his chest. A fissure so deep and silent and irreversible that he almost reached up to check if he was bleeding. The pup took another bite, then another. His shoulders started to relax. Leon's gun hand dropped. He stared at the Omega, really stared, and for the first time in 15 years, Leon Volkov had absolutely no idea what to do. The Omega's dark eyes lifted to meet his. No triumph, no smugness, just exhaustion, and something else Leon couldn't name. Who? Leon's voice came out rusted. Wrong. He cleared his throat and tried again. Who the hell are you? The Omega hesitated. Then, quietly, Eli. Just a name. No claim. No title. No plea. Leon's gaze dropped to the curve beneath Eli's shirt, then back to his son. Calm now, eating slowly but eating, and something cold and sharp twisted in his gut. Why does he listen to you? Eli's jaw tightened. His hand moved to rest over his stomach, protective, instinctive, and for just a second, Leon saw past the calm exterior to the fear underneath. This Omega was terrified, but he'd walked into this room anyway. Because, Eli said softly, I'm not trying to win. Silence swallowed the room. Leon's enforcers stood frozen, eyes wide, minds clearly struggling to process what they just witnessed. Leon looked at his son, at the Omega, at the way the pup's fingers had stopped trembling. And Leon Volkov, who'd never hesitated, never faltered, never let anything matter more than power, made a decision that would destroy everything he'd built. You stay, he said, not a request, command. But when Eli's breath hitched, just barely, just enough, Leon wondered if he'd just declared war on himself. 3 hours earlier, Eli had been in the back of a cargo truck. Cold metal, darkness, the smell of oil and rust and fear. He'd kept his breathing slow, controlled, the way they'd taught him at the clinic before everything burned. The suppressants he'd taken that morning were already wearing off. He could feel his scent trying to emerge, soft, floral, utterly wrong for this situation. Omegas weren't supposed to smell like spring rain in the back of a MAFIA transport vehicle. So he'd pressed his wrists to his neck, using his own sweat to mask it. Crude, but effective. The truck had stopped abruptly. Doors opened. Hands grabbed him, rough, indifferent, and dragged him into fluorescent light and cold air. Wrong truck, someone had barked. Check the manifest. We were supposed to hit the pharmaceutical route, not, is that an Omega? The word had rippled through the room like blood in water. Eli had kept his eyes down, stayed still, didn't fight. Fighting made it worse. They'd scanned him. Medical-grade equipment, black market but efficient. looking for contraband, tracking chips, anything valuable. The scanner beeped. The technician froze. "Sir," his voice pitched high, uncertain. "You need to see this." That's when Leon Volkov had entered the room. Eli had felt him before he saw him. The weight of alpha presence, thick and suffocating and absolute, pressed against Eli's chest like a hand. Most Omegas would have dropped their gaze immediately. Eli had spent 5 years training himself not to. Leon was tall, broad-shouldered, dark hair pushed back, sharp jaw, eyes like flint. He wore a black suit that probably cost more than Eli's entire education, and he moved like violence was a language he'd spoken since birth. "Report," Leon had said. "Omega, sir. Male. Mid-20s. Clean scan except..." The technician swallowed. "He's pregnant." The room had gone silent. Eli's hand had moved to his stomach before he could stop it. Leon's eyes tracked the movement. Predator instinct. "How far along?" Leon's voice was flat. "Clinical. 6 weeks, approximately. But sir..." The technician looked like he wanted to crawl inside the scanner. "The hormone panel indicates no prior alpha bond. The pregnancy is virgin conception." Leon finished. It wasn't a question. Eli forced himself to breathe. Virgin Omega pregnancies were rare. Not impossible, biology was weird, stress could trigger it, trauma could reshape hormones in unpredictable ways, but rare enough that most people thought they were myths. Eli had thought so too, until 2 months ago, when he'd woken up nauseous and exhausted and different, and realized his body had betrayed him in a way he'd never prepared for. No alpha, no bond, no choice, just biology, ruthless and indifferent. "Contain him," Leon had ordered. "Medical observation. No harm. Not mercy. Control." They'd put Eli in a room. Small, clean, locked from the outside. A bed. A bathroom. Water. No windows. He'd sat on the edge of the bed and counted his breaths. 1, 2, 3. This wasn't the worst situation he'd been in. It was close, but not the worst. He'd survived worse. The scream had cut through the walls. High-pitched, panicked, a child's voice, raw with terror. Eli had been on his feet before his brain caught up. Another scream, then breaking glass, shouting, footsteps running. Eli had moved to the door, pressed his ear against it. Can't calm him down. Tried everything. Get the sedatives. No. A deeper voice. Leon's. No sedatives. Not again. Sir. He's going to hurt himself. I said no. More screaming. Eli's hands had curled into fists. He knew that sound. He'd heard it 1,000 times at the clinic. The sensory overload. The panic spiral. The way a child's nervous system could turn their entire world into pain with no language to explain it. He'd trained for this. Before the fire. Before Leon Volkov's syndicate had decided the clinic was laundering money for a rival operation and burned it to the ground. Eli had lost everything that night. His work. His colleagues. His purpose. The irony sat in his throat like glass. But the screaming didn't stop. Eli had knocked on the door. Hard. Hey! Hey! Let me out! Silence. Then footsteps. The lock clicked. An enforcer opened the door. Big, scarred, gun visible under his jacket. What? The child, Eli said. Let me help. You're collateral. I'm a pediatric Omega therapist. The lie came easy. He had been once. Or I was. Let me try. The enforcer stared at him. Another scream echoed. The man's jaw tightened. He stepped aside. Eli had followed the sound. Now, standing in the dining room with Leon Volkov staring at him like Eli had just performed a miracle, Eli realized he'd made a terrible mistake. He'd revealed his value, and valuable things in this world didn't stay free. Explain, Leon said. It wasn't a request. Eli glanced at the pup, who was still eating, slowly, carefully, but eating. The enforcers had backed up, giving space, probably on some unspoken order from Leon. Your son has sensory processing issues, Eli said quietly. Food isn't just taste for him. The texture, temperature, smell, the weight of the spoon, the pressure of being watched. Every bite is, he paused, overwhelming. I know what he has. Leon's voice could have cut steel. I've hired 12 specialists. None of them could do what you just did. Because they were trying to fix him. Eli met Leon's eyes. Held them. I'm not. Then what are you doing? Reducing variables. Eli's hand rested on his stomach again. He needed to stop doing that. It was a weakness, but he couldn't help it. He doesn't need to be cured. He needs space to exist without pressure. Leon stared at him for a long, dangerous moment. Then, you're staying. Eli's breath stopped. I'm what? You heard me. Leon straightened, alpha presence rolling off him in waves. You're staying here, temporarily, until I figure out. He gestured at his son. I'm not. Eli swallowed. I'm not a prisoner. You're collateral from a botched raid. You're lucky you're not dead. Leon's eyes were cold, empty. Be grateful I'm giving you a purpose. Eli's hands curled into fists. He wanted to scream, wanted to fight, wanted to tell this alpha to go to hell and walk out the door with his dignity intact. But he was 6 weeks pregnant. Alone. No money. No home. No plan. And the clinic, the only place he'd ever belonged, was Ash. So Eli swallowed his pride. Nodded once. Fine. Leon's eyes narrowed, like he'd expected more resistance. Then he turned to his enforcers. Set him up in the East Wing. Private room. No restrictions. He's not a prisoner. Liar, Eli thought. But he didn't say it. Leon looked back at him. You'll take care of my son. Meals. Routines. Whatever he needs. And when he doesn't need me anymore? Leon's smile was sharp. Then we'll see if you need me. The threat hung in the air. Eli looked at the pup. Still eating, still calm. And something in his chest twisted. He'd walked into this room to help a child. Now he was trapped. But as Leon's enforcers gestured for him to follow, as he cast one last glance at the pup who'd finally stopped trembling, Eli realized he'd been trapped the moment he'd knocked on that door. And the worst part? He'd do it again. The East Wing was quiet. Too quiet. Eli stood in the center of his assigned room. Large, clean, impersonal. And tried not to think about the locked doors between him and freedom. Not a prisoner, Leon had said. But the guards outside told a different story. Eli sat on the edge of the bed. His hand moved to his stomach again, pressing gently. I'm sorry, he whispered, to the cluster of cells growing inside him. To the child he hadn't asked for but would protect anyway. I'm going to figure this out. I promise. The door opened. Eli shot to his feet, heart hammering. But it wasn't Leon. It was the pup. He stood in the doorway, small and uncertain. His red apron still on, hands twisting in the fabric. His eyes, huge, dark, too aware, fixed on Eli. No words. The pup didn't speak. Eli had realized that in the dining room, watching the way he communicated through body language, through touch, through silence. Nonverbal. Maybe temporary. Maybe permanent. Either way, it didn't matter. The pup was here. Hi, Eli said softly. The pup didn't respond. Eli crouched down. Slowly, carefully. So they were at eye level. Is it okay if I stay here? Eli asked. The pup blinked, then nodded. Once, relief flooded through Eli. Thank you. The pup stepped inside. His movements were cautious, deliberate, like he was navigating a minefield. He crossed to the corner of the room, the farthest point from the door, and sat down with his back against the wall. Eli understood immediately. Corners were safe. Walls were solid. The pup could see the whole room, monitor threats, control his environment. Eli didn't move. He just sat down where he was, cross-legged, giving the pup space. They stayed like that for 10 minutes. Silent, not uncomfortable, just existing together. Eventually, the pup's shoulders relaxed. His hands stopped twisting. His breathing evened out. Eli didn't ask questions, didn't try to engage, didn't perform. He just waited. Finally, The pup reached into his pocket and pulled out a small toy car. Red. Worn. One wheel missing. He set it on the floor, pushed it toward Eli, stopped halfway. Eli's chest tightened. "Can I play with you?" he asked quietly. The pup nodded. Eli reached out, slowly, telegraphing the movement, and pushed the car back. The pup caught it, pushed it again. They passed the car back and forth. No words, no pressure, just presence. After a while, the pup moved closer. Still not within touching distance, that would take time, but closer than before. Eli smiled. Small. Genuine. The pup's lips twitched. Not quite a smile, but almost. The days that followed became routine. Eli woke before dawn, waited in his room until the pup arrived. He always arrived, like clockwork, around 7. They'd sit together, sometimes with the toy car, sometimes with blocks, sometimes just in silence. Eli never forced interaction. He followed the pup's lead. If the pup wanted to stack blocks, Eli handed him blocks. If the pup wanted to line up his cars in perfect rows, Eli watched without disturbing the pattern. If the pup needed silence, Eli gave him silence. Meals were the hardest. Not because the pup refused to eat, he didn't, not with Eli, but because Leon watched. Always. From doorways. From across the room. From shadows. Eli could feel the weight of that gaze every time. Leon never interrupted. Never commented. Just watched. Like he was trying to decode something. On the 4th day, the pup reached for Eli's hand. Eli froze. The pup's fingers were small, warm, trembling slightly. He didn't pull Eli's hand toward anything. Didn't demand. Just held it. Eli's throat closed. "It's okay," he whispered. "I'm here." The pup's grip tightened. For 5 minutes, they sat like that, connected. When the pup finally let go, Eli's hand felt cold. Leon cornered him on the 6th day. Eli was in the hallway, heading back to his room after breakfast, when Leon appeared from a side corridor. Alone. No enforcers. No guards. Just the alpha, blocking Eli's path. "You're good with him," Leon said. Not a compliment. An observation. Eli stopped, kept his face neutral. "He's a good kid. He doesn't talk. He doesn't need to." Leon's jaw tightened. "The doctors said." "I don't care what the doctors said." Eli's voice was sharper than intended. He took a breath, softened it. "Your son communicates fine. You're just not listening." Dangerous. That was a dangerous thing to say to an alpha who'd killed men for less. But Leon didn't move. He stared at Eli, something unreadable flickering in his eyes. "What else do you see?" Leon asked quietly. "What?" "When you look at him." Leon stepped closer. Not threatening, searching. "What do you see that I don't?" Eli hesitated. Then, carefully, "I see a kid who's trying to navigate a world that hurts him. Not because he's weak, because he's wired differently. And everyone keeps trying to fix him instead of understanding him." Leon's breath stopped. "And you?" His voice dropped. "Do you understand him?" "I'm trying." "Why?" The question hung between them. Eli could have lied, could have said something safe, strategic. But the truth slipped out anyway. "Because no one understood me either." Leon's eyes widened, just a fraction. And for one brief, fragile moment, Eli saw past the alpha facade to something raw underneath. Loneliness, desperation, fear. But then Leon's mask slammed back into place. "Keep doing what you're doing," he said, and walked away. Eli stood in the hallway, heart pounding, hand pressed to his stomach. He was in so much trouble. Leon Volkov was 7 when he learned that power meant survival. 12 when he learned that mercy meant death. 19 when he took control of the Northern Syndicate from his father's corpse. 25 when he realized he'd become something irreversible. Now, at 32, standing in his private office with blood still on his knuckles from a negotiation gone wrong, Leon stared at the file on his desk. Omega Pediatric Clinic, Capital District. The words blurred. He'd ordered the hit 3 years ago. The clinic had been flagged by his financial team. Suspected money laundering, ties to a rival syndicate, Too much cash moving through a nonprofit. The intelligence had been solid. Or so he'd thought. Leon had given the order without hesitation. Burn it. His men had complied. 2 casualties. 17 injuries. Total property loss. The investigation had cleared the clinic 6 months later. No laundering. No ties. Just a nonprofit that had refused to pay protection money and gotten caught in crossfire between 2 syndicates. Leon had filed it away. Collateral damage. The cost of doing business. He'd never thought about it again. Until now. Until he'd run a background check on Eli. Full name, Eli Torin. Age, 26. Occupation, pediatric omega therapist, specialized in sensory processing disorders. Last employment, Omega Pediatric Clinic, Capital District. Termination reason, facility destroyed. Leon's hands had gone numb. He'd destroyed Eli's life, taken his work, his purpose, his safety, and Eli didn't even know it. The irony burned. Leon had dragged Eli into his home, made him care for his son, trapped him here, and Eli had done it anyway, with kindness, with patience, with a gentleness Leon didn't deserve. "Sir." Leon looked up. His second-in-command, Victor, scarred and loyal and utterly ruthless, stood in the doorway. "The shipment's ready for inspection." "Cancel it." Victor blinked. "Sir, I said cancel it." Leon's voice was flat. "Pull all operations for the next week. Minimum crew only." "But the quarterly." "I don't care." Silence. Victor stared at him like Leon had grown a second head. "Is this about the Omega?" Leon's eyes snapped up. "Watch your tone." "I'm not." Victor held up his hands. "I'm asking, as someone who's kept you alive for 10 years, is this about the Omega?" Leon didn't answer. He couldn't, because the truth was yes. Yes, it was about Eli. About the way his son smiled now, small, tentative, but real. About the way Eli moved through the estate like he belonged, even though he was a prisoner. About the way Leon's chest tightened every time he saw Eli's hand rest on his stomach, protecting something fragile. Something Leon's world would destroy. "Dismissed," Leon said. Victor left. Leon sat in the silence. He pulled up the security footage from the dining room, rewound to the moment Eli had walked in, watched the way Eli had crouched beside his son, patient and careful and present. Leon had built an empire on fear, but fear couldn't do this. Money couldn't do this. Power couldn't do this. Only Eli could. And Leon who'd taken everything from him, had no right to ask for more. But he was going to anyway. That night, Leon found Eli in the garden. The estate had a small courtyard, private, walled, accessible only from the east wing. Eli sat on a bench, moonlight turning his dark hair silver. His hand rested on his stomach. Always, Leon's footsteps were silent, but Eli heard him anyway. "Can't sleep?" Eli asked without turning. "No, me neither." Leon stepped closer, stopped a few feet away, close enough to speak quietly, far enough to not crowd. "Can I ask you something?" Leon said. Eli finally looked at him. "Will you answer honestly if I ask you something back?" "Fair." "Yes." Eli nodded. "Then ask. Why are you kind to him?" Leon's voice cracked slightly. "You don't owe us anything. You could hate me. You should hate me." Eli was quiet for a long moment. Then, "I do hate you." Leon's chest tightened. "But your son isn't you." Eli's gaze dropped. "And he deserves someone who sees him, really sees him, not what he can't do. What he can. And you see that?" "Yes." "Why?" Eli's hand pressed harder against his stomach. "Because someone saw it in me once," he said softly. "And it saved my life." Leon sat down on the bench. Not close, but closer than before. "What happened to them?" Leon asked. "They died." Eli's voice was hollow. 3 years ago, the clinic burned down. Leon's blood turned to ice. No, he couldn't. "They tried to get everyone out," Eli continued, "but the fire spread too fast. 2 people didn't make it. My mentor was one of them." Leon couldn't breathe, couldn't move, couldn't think. "I'm sorry," he forced out. Eli looked at him, eyes sharp. "Why? You didn't start the fire." "I did. I gave the order. I killed them." But Leon couldn't say it. Not yet. Not when Eli was looking at him like he was human. "I need to tell you something," Leon said instead. "Okay. But not tonight." Eli frowned. "Why?" "Because I'm a coward." The honesty surprised them both. Eli stared at him for a long moment. Then, "My turn to ask. Go ahead. What happens to me when your son doesn't need me anymore?" Leon's throat closed, because he didn't have an answer, except one. "I don't know," he admitted, "but I won't let anything happen to you." "Why?" Because you're the first person who's made my son smile in 2 years. Because you're carrying a child and you're alone. Because I destroyed your life and you don't even know it yet. You deserve better than this." Eli laughed softly. "Bitter. We all do." They sat in silence. The moon moved overhead, and Leon Volkov, who'd never hesitated, never doubted, never regretted, realized he was falling apart. And the Omega beside him was the only thing holding him together. 2 weeks became 3. 3 became 4. Eli stopped counting days. The routine swallowed him. Gentle, insistent, strangely comforting. Wake up. Wait for the pup. Breakfast. Play. Lunch. Quiet time. Dinner. Evening. Sleep. Repeat. The pup started sleeping in Eli's room. Not every night, but more often than not. He'd appear in the doorway around 9, toy car clutched in one hand, blanket in the other. Eli would move to the side of the bed, always the side, never the middle, and the pup would climb in. They didn't touch. Not at first. But by the 3rd night, the pup had rolled closer. By the 5th, his small hand rested near Eli's. By the 10th, he was curled against Eli's side, breathing soft and even. Eli's heart broke every time. This child, this beautiful, complicated, misunderstood child, had been starving for gentle touch. And Eli had so much to give. Leon stopped hovering. Mostly. He still watched from doorways, still appeared at random times, still asked questions in that careful, measured tone that made Eli want to scream. But he'd stopped treating Eli like collateral, started treating him like something else. Eli couldn't define it. A guest, a consultant. No, he wouldn't let himself think that word. One morning, Leon joined them for breakfast. Not watching from the corner, actually joined them. He sat at the table, silent, hands folded, posture stiff. The pup froze. Eli kept his movements calm, deliberate. "It's okay," he said softly to the pup. "Your dad just wants to have breakfast with us." The pup looked at Leon. Leon looked back. For a long, fragile moment, neither moved. Then the pup pushed the toy car across the table, toward Leon. Leon stared at it like it was a live grenade. "He wants you to play," Eli said quietly. Leon's voice cracked. "I don't know how." "You push it back." Leon's hand trembled as he reached for the car, pushed it gently. The pup caught it, smiled. Leon's breath stopped. Eli watched the alpha's mask crumble just for a second and saw the man underneath. Terrified, desperate, loving. "Good," Eli said softly. Leon looked at him. Their eyes met. Something passed between them, too fragile to name, too dangerous to acknowledge. Eli looked away first. The pregnancy started showing. Not much, but enough that Eli's borrowed clothes didn't fit right anymore. Leon noticed. Of course he did. "We need to get you proper clothes," Leon said one evening. Eli was in the library, a massive room filled with books Leon probably never read, curled in a chair with a medical text he'd found. The pup was asleep upstairs. "I'm fine," Eli said. "You're not. I don't need." "Eli," Leon's voice was firm. "Let me do this." It wasn't a request, but it wasn't a command either. Eli sighed. "Fine." The next day, a tailor arrived. Private, discreet, expensive. They measured Eli carefully, noting the curve of his stomach, the way his body was changing. Leon watched the entire time. Not possessively, protectively. Eli hated how warm that made him feel. On the 28th day, the pup spoke. Not to Eli, not to Leon, to both of them. They were in the garden. The pup was arranging stones in a pattern, complex, precise, beautiful. Eli sat nearby, watching. Leon stood a few feet away, hands in his pockets. The pup finished his pattern, looked up, smiled, and said, clear as daylight, "Look," one word, but it shattered everything. Leon dropped to his knees. Eli's eyes burned. The pup pointed at his stones. "Look, pretty. It's beautiful," Eli whispered. Leon couldn't speak. He reached out, slowly, carefully, and the pup didn't flinch, didn't pull away. He leaned into Leon's hand, and Leon broke. Eli watched the alpha crumble, watched tears streak down his face, watched him hold his son like the world was ending. And Eli realized, too late, that he wasn't just helping this child anymore. He was healing this family, and families didn't let go. That night, Victor cornered Eli in the hallway. "Word of advice," Victor said. "Low, dangerous." Eli stopped. "I'm listening. Don't get comfortable." "Excuse me?" "The boss, Leon, he's changing. The men notice. Enemies notice. You think that's good?" Victor stepped closer. "It's not. Weak alphas bleed. He's not weak. He's distracted." Victor's eyes were hard. "And distractions get people killed." "I'm not. You are." Victor's voice dropped to a whisper. "And when the bill comes due, you'll be the one paying it." He walked away. Eli stood in the hallway, heart racing, hand pressed to his stomach. He'd known this was temporary. Known he was living on borrowed time. But somewhere between the toy cars and the garden and the way Leon looked at him when he thought Eli wasn't watching, Eli had started hoping. And hope in this world was the most dangerous thing of all. Leon kept secrets the way other men kept weapons. Close, hidden, ready to kill. But this secret, the one burning a hole through his chest every time he looked at Eli, was different. This secret had a body count. 2 bodies, to be precise. Eli's mentor, a clinic administrator who'd stayed behind to help evacuate children. Both dead because Leon had given an order without caring about collateral damage. And now Eli was here, in Leon's home, caring for Leon's son, smiling at Leon like he was worth something. The guilt was eating him alive. Leon stood in his office at 3 in the morning, staring at the file he'd memorized weeks ago. The arson report, the casualty list, the investigation that had cleared the clinic 6 months too late. He should tell Eli, should confess, should give Eli the choice to hate him properly, with full knowledge of what Leon had taken. But every time Leon opened his mouth, he saw the way Eli looked at his son. The gentleness, the patience, the love. And Leon cowered that he couldn't destroy that. Not yet. "Sir." Leon looked up. Victor stood in the doorway, face grim. "We have a problem." The problem had a name. Dmitry Kozlov. Rival syndicate. Old grudge. New opportunity. "He knows about the Omega," Victor said, spreading surveillance photos across Leon's desk. Eli, walking in the garden, sitting with the pup, hand on his stomach. Leon's blood turned to ice. "How?" "We're investigating." "But sir," Victor's jaw tightened. "Kozlov's been asking questions. About virgin pregnancies. About Omega bloodlines. About breeding programs." The words tasted like poison. Victor nodded. Leon's hands curled into fists. Breeding programs were illegal, technically. But in the underworld, legality was a suggestion, and rare Omegas, especially virgin pregnant Omegas, were worth fortunes on the black market. Not as partners, as livestock. "Increase security," Leon said. "Double the guards on the east wing. No one gets near Eli without my direct authorization." "Already done." "And Kozlov, watching, waiting. He won't move yet, too risky." "But sir," Victor hesitated. "If he thinks you're protecting the Omega because you're bonding." "I'm not bonding." Victor's expression said he knew it. Then what are you doing? Victor asked quietly. Because from where I'm standing, you're making yourself vulnerable for an omega you claimed was temporary collateral. Leon had no answer, because Victor was right. Somewhere between watching Eli coax his son into eating and seeing Eli's hand rest protectively over his stomach, Leon had stopped thinking of Eli as collateral, had started thinking of him as, no, he couldn't. Alphas like Leon didn't get softness, didn't get families, didn't get redemption. Just keep him safe, Leon said. Victor stared at him for a long moment, then left. Leon sat in the silence, stared at the photos of Eli, and realized he'd do anything. Burn every bridge, betray every ally, destroy his own empire to keep Eli safe, even from himself. Eli noticed the increased security immediately. More guards, stricter schedules, eyes everywhere. What's going on? He asked Leon that evening. They were in the library again. The pup was upstairs with a trusted nanny, one of the few people Leon allowed near his son besides Eli. Leon looked tired, more than tired, haunted. Precaution, Leon said. Against what? People who would hurt you. Eli's stomach twisted. Why would anyone? Because you're valuable. Leon's voice was flat. Virgin pregnant omegas are rare. You're carrying a child with no alpha bond. In this world, that makes you a commodity. The word hit like a slap. Commodity, not a person, not someone with rights, with choices, with autonomy. A thing to be bought and sold. Eli's hand moved to his stomach. I won't let that happen, Leon said quickly. You're safe here. Am I? The question hung between them. Leon stepped closer, not crowding, just present. Yes, he said. I promise. Your promises don't mean much to people like me. Leon flinched. Good. Eli was tired of pretending this was normal. Tired of playing along. Tired of being grateful for scraps of safety in a world that had taken everything from him. What do you want me to say? Leon asked quietly. The truth. About what? About why you're really keeping me here. Leon's jaw tightened. For a long moment, he didn't answer. Then, because my son needs you. And when he doesn't, then, Leon's voice cracked. Then I'll figure it out. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. Eli stared at him, saw the exhaustion, the fear, the desperation, and underneath it all, guilt. Deep, corrosive, eating Leon alive. What did you do? Eli asked softly. Leon went perfectly still. What? You look at me like you're waiting for me to realize something terrible. Eli stepped closer. So what did you do? Eli, tell me. I can't. Why not? Because Leon's hands clenched. Because if I tell you, you'll leave. And I can't. His voice broke. I can't let you leave. The confession shattered something between them. Eli's breath stopped. You're holding me hostage, he whispered. No, Leon looked away. I don't know what I'm doing. Honesty, raw, painful, real. Eli should have been angry, should have demanded answers, should have fought, but he was so tired, and Leon looked so broken. I was never free, was I? Eli said quietly. Leon's eyes closed. No, the word settled like a tombstone. Eli sat down. His hand rested on his stomach, feeling the small curve, the life growing inside him despite everything. I hate you, he said. I know, but your son, Eli's voice cracked. He deserves better than this. So do you. Then let me go. Leon looked at him, really looked, and Eli saw the answer in his eyes before Leon spoke. I can't. That night, Eli lay awake in bed, the pup curled against his side, breathing soft and even. The child trusted him, completely, unconditionally, and Eli was trapped by that trust as surely as by Leon's guards. He couldn't leave without abandoning this boy. Couldn't stay without losing himself. The door opened. Eli tensed. Leon stepped inside. Quiet, careful. I'm not here to... Leon stopped. I just wanted to check on him. The pup. Always the pup. He's fine, Eli said softly. Leon moved closer, stopped at the edge of the bed, looked down at his son. Something in his expression cracked. I was a terrible father, Leon whispered. Before you came, I didn't know how to reach him, didn't know how to be what he needed. Eli said nothing. You taught me, Leon continued, not just how to help him, how to see him. I didn't do it for you. I know. Leon's voice was thick. But I'm grateful anyway. Silence stretched. Then Leon turned to leave. Wait, Eli said. Leon stopped. Whatever you're hiding. Eli looked at him. It won't stay hidden forever. Leon's shoulders tensed. I know. And when it comes out, I'll deal with it. Will you? Eli's voice was sharp. Or will you do what men like you always do and sacrifice everyone else to save yourself? Leon turned, met Eli's eyes. If it comes to that, Leon said quietly, I'll sacrifice myself first. The conviction in his voice was terrifying, because Eli believed him. Leon left. Eli lay in the darkness, the pup's warmth against his side, and wondered which would destroy them first, the truth, or the lies they told to survive it. Eli woke to screaming. Not the pup, someone else. He was on his feet before his brain caught up, the pup stirring beside him. Stay here, Eli whispered. The pup's eyes went wide, frightened. Lock the door behind me. Don't open it for anyone except me or your father. Understand? The pup nodded. Eli slipped into the hallway. The screaming was coming from downstairs. Male voice. Raw. Terrified. Then gunshots. 3. Sharp. Final. Silence. Eli's heart hammered. He should go back. Should lock himself in with the pup. Should hide. But his feet kept moving. Down the stairs. Toward the source. He found Leon in the entrance hall. Blood on his hands. Gun still raised. Body on the floor. Not just any body. A guard. One of Leon's own men. He sold you out, Leon said without turning. His voice was empty. Dead. Eli froze. What? Kozlov paid him. Leon lowered the gun. To get access to you. To the pup. He stopped. I was too slow. The guard on the floor had a phone in his hand. Screen cracked but still lit. Messages visible. Photos of Eli. The pup. The garden. The East Wing. Everything. How many others? Eli asked quietly. I don't know yet. Leon turned. His eyes were cold. Empty. The mask fully back in place. This was the man who'd built an empire on corpses. This was the alpha who terrified grown men. This was the monster Eli kept forgetting about. Pack your things, Leon said. What? We're leaving. Tonight. Until I clean this mess up. Where? Safe house. Remote. Off-grid. No one knows about it except Victor and me. Eli's hands clenched. I'm not. This isn't a negotiation. Leon stepped closer. Kozlov knows where you are. He has your routine. He's planning something. I won't let him get to you. You don't own me. I know. Leon's voice cracked. Just barely. But please, let me protect you anyway. The desperation in his eyes was real. Terrifying. Intoxicating. Eli looked at the body on the floor. At the blood spreading across expensive marble. At the phone with its damning photos. Fine, he whispered. Thank you. Leon turned to Victor, who'd appeared from somewhere, silent and efficient. Clean this. Interrogate the others. Find everyone Kozlov compromised. And if they resist? Leon's expression went arctic. Make them talk, then kill them. Victor nodded. Left. Leon looked at Eli. Get the pup. Pack light. We leave in 20 minutes. The safe house was 3 hours north. Deep forest. Narrow roads. No neighbors for miles. It was small. Comfortable. Secure. 1 level. 3 bedrooms. Modern kitchen. Reinforced doors. Panic room. The pup fell asleep in the car. Eli carried him inside. He'd gotten good at that, adjusting for his growing stomach, and put him to bed. Leon watched from the doorway, silent. When Eli emerged, Leon gestured to the kitchen. "Sit. You need to eat." "I'm not hungry." "You're pregnant. Eat anyway." Eli's jaw tightened, but he sat. Leon made food. Simple, efficient, nothing fancy. Scrambled eggs, toast, fruit. He set it in front of Eli, sat across from him. Didn't eat, just watched. "Stop," Eli said. "Stop what?" "Looking at me like I'm going to disappear." "You might." The honesty was brutal. Eli set down his fork. "Leon, I killed a man tonight." Leon's voice was flat. "One of my own. Because he was going to help someone hurt you. I didn't ask you to." "I know." Leon leaned forward. "But I'd do it again. I'd kill 100 men. 1,000. I'd burn my entire organization to ash if it meant keeping you safe." Eli's breath stopped. "Why?" Leon looked away. "I don't know." They both knew it, but Eli didn't push. He was too tired, too scared, too confused by the way his chest tightened when Leon looked at him like that. "Eat," Leon said softly. Eli ate. 3 days passed. Quiet, tense, careful. The pup adapted quickly. Children were resilient like that. He explored the house, found the toys Leon had stocked, played in the small backyard under Eli's watchful eye. Leon was on the phone constantly, coordinating, investigating, eliminating threats. Eli heard fragments of conversations. 4 compromised. "Kozlov's moving tonight." "No, I don't care about the losses." Just. Always followed by silence. Always followed by Leon staring at nothing, face hollow. On the 4th night, Eli found Leon on the porch. 2 in the morning. Cold. Frost forming on the railings. Leon sat on the steps, jacket open, breath misting. "You'll freeze," Eli said. Leon didn't turn. "Can't sleep." "Me neither." Eli sat beside him, not touching, but close. "Victor found 6 more," Leon said quietly. 6 men I trusted, all bought by Kozlov. "Did you?" "Yes." One word. 6 deaths. Eli should have been horrified. Should have run. Should have done anything except sit here next to a man who killed without hesitation. But he stayed. "You said you'd tell me the truth," Eli said after a long silence. Leon's jaw clenched. "Not that truth." "Why not?" "Because it'll destroy everything. More than this." Eli gestured at the empty forest. "We're hiding in the middle of nowhere because people want to hurt me and your son. How much worse could the truth be?" Leon laughed. Hollow. Bitter. "So much worse." He turned to look at Eli. "Really look." And Eli saw it again, the guilt, the fear, the desperation. "The clinic," Leon said. Eli froze. "What about it?" "The one you worked at. The one that burned down." Eli's blood turned to ice. "How do you know about that?" "Background check. When my men brought you in. Leon's voice cracked. "I wanted to know who you were. And..." Leon's hands clenched. "The fire wasn't an accident." Eli knew that. Everyone knew that. The investigation had found accelerants. Forced entry. Deliberate arson. They'd blamed it on a rival syndicate. Never found who gave the order. "I know," Eli said quietly. "Eli, they told us it was gang violence. Crossfire. Wrong place, wrong time." It was. Something in Leon's tone made Eli's stomach drop. "What aren't you saying?" Leon looked away, breathed. Then, "It was my order." The words hit like bullets. Eli couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't... What? The clinic was flagged for money laundering, ties to a rival operation. My financial team... Leon's voice was hollow. "They said it was a front. I gave the order. My men burned it down." Eli stood, stumbled back. "You!" The investigation cleared them 6 months later. No laundering, no ties, just... Leon's hands shook. Wrong intelligence. Wrong target. Eli's vision blurred. "My mentor died in that fire. I know. 2 people. I know. You killed them. Yes. The confession hung between them. Eli wanted to scream, wanted to hit him, wanted to destroy him the way he'd destroyed everything Eli had. But all that came out was, "Why didn't you tell me?" Leon finally looked at him, eyes red, face hollow. "Because I'm a coward. Truth, raw, brutal, irreversible. I destroyed your life," Leon continued, "took everything from you. And then his voice broke. "I brought you here, made you care for my son. You made me trust you." The words were knives. Leon flinched. "I'm sorry." "Sorry?" Eli's voice pitched high, hysterical. "You're sorry? You think sorry fixes?" "No." Leon stood, didn't approach. "Nothing fixes this. I know that. But he stopped. "I'll let you go. After this is over. After Kozlov's handled. I'll give you money, protection, papers, whatever you need to disappear, to be free." "I was never free." "I know. You took everything. I know. And now you're acting like letting me go is mercy?" Leon said nothing, because it wasn't mercy. It was the bare minimum, and they both knew it. Eli's hands moved to his stomach. Protecting. Always protecting. "I can't leave," he said quietly. "What?" "Your son." Eli's voice cracked. "He needs me. And he stopped. "I can't abandon him, even knowing what you did. I can't." Leon's breath stopped. "Eli, but I hate you." "I know. And I'll never forgive you. I don't deserve forgiveness." They stood in the cold. 2 broken people. 1 unforgivable truth. And a child sleeping inside who'd brought them together. "After this is over," Eli said, "after Kozlov, we figure out what happens next." "Okay. But Leon." "Yeah. If you ever lie to me again." Eli's eyes burned. "I'll find a way to destroy you." Leon smiled. Sad. Broken. Genuine. "You already have." Kozlov made his move on the 7th day. 3 cars. 12 men. Satellite imagery showed them converging on the safe house location. Victor called at dawn. "They're coming. ETA 2 hours." Leon looked at Eli, at the pup sleeping in the next room, at the life he'd somehow built from ashes and lies. "Get them out," Leon said. "Sir, there's a secondary extraction point. 5 miles north. Take them there. I'll handle Kozlov. You can't take 12 men alone. I can buy you time." Silence on the line. Then, "The Omega won't go." Leon looked through the doorway at Eli, who'd woken and was listening, eyes sharp. "He will." "Sir, that's an order." Leon hung up, turned to Eli. "Victor's coming. You and the pup are leaving." "What about you?" "I'm staying. That's suicide. That's my job." Leon moved to the gun safe, started loading weapons. "Protecting you. I didn't ask for." "I don't care what you asked for." Leon's voice was hard. Final. "I'm not letting Kozlov get to you, or the pup, or..." His hand moved toward Eli's stomach, then stopped. "Any of you." Eli's breath caught. "You can't die." "Why not?" "Because..." Eli's voice cracked. "Because your son needs you. He has you." "That's not the same." Leon smiled, said, resigned. "It's better." Victor arrived 20 minutes later. Alone, armed, efficient. "Cars ready. We go now." The pup was awake, clinging to Eli, eyes wide. Leon crouched in front of his son. Slow, careful, the way Eli had taught him. "Hey, buddy." The pup stared at him. "You need to go with Victor and Eli, just for a little bit, okay?" The pup's lip trembled. "Papa." The word destroyed Leon. First time the pup had called him that. First time, and possibly last. "I'll find you," Leon whispered. "I promise." The pup looked at Eli. Eli nodded, throat tight. The pup looked back at Leon, reached out with one small hand. Leon took it, held it. "I love you," Leon said. The pup's eyes filled with tears. "Love you too." Leon pulled him close, held him tight, then let go. He looked at Eli, everything he couldn't say written in his eyes. Take care of him, Leon, please. Eli's hands clenched. He wanted to argue, wanted to fight, wanted to force Leon to run with them. But he saw the resolve in Leon's eyes, the determination, the acceptance. Leon was going to die today, and he'd made peace with it. Damn you, Eli whispered. Leon smiled. Already am. Victor moved to the door. We're out of time. Eli picked up the pup. Looked at Leon one last time. Don't die. I'll try. They left. Leon watched the car disappear down the narrow road, then turned to face what was coming. 12 men. For points of entry. Military-grade weapons. Leon had 17 minutes before they arrived. He'd been in worse situations. Barely. He set the charges, rigged the doors, positioned himself in the reinforced panic room with sight lines on all approaches. Not to survive, to delay. Every minute he bought was another minute Eli and the pup got farther away. Worth it. The cars arrived. Men poured out. Professional. Coordinated. Well-trained. Kozlov wasn't leading them, too smart for that. But his lieutenant was, a man named Pavel. Ex-military. No conscience. They surrounded the house, tested the perimeter, found the charges, disarmed some, missed others. Leon waited, patient. When they breached the front door, he detonated the first charge. The explosion took out 3 men. The rest scattered, regrouped, came at him from different angles. Leon picked them off. 1 shot, 1 kill, like the old days, before the empire, before the power, before he'd forgotten what it felt like to fight for something that mattered. But there were too many. They flanked him, drove him back, wounded him shoulder, leg, ribs. Nothing fatal. Yet, Leon fought anyway, because every second mattered, because Eli was out there, because his son had called him Papa. Because for the first time in 15 years, Leon Volkov had something worth dying for. Victor drove like death itself was chasing them, because it was. Eli held the pup in the back seat, murmuring reassurances, trying not to think about Leon bleeding out in that house, trying not to care, failing. How far? Eli asked. 10 minutes to extraction. Helicopters waiting. And then you disappear. Eli's stomach twisted. What about Leon? Victor's jaw clenched. He knew the odds. That's not an answer. It's the only one I have. The pup whimpered. Eli held him tighter. It's okay. We're okay. But they weren't. Nothing was okay. Leon was dying. They were running. And Eli couldn't breathe through the panic. Couldn't think past the image of Leon's sad smile. Couldn't accept that the alpha who'd destroyed his life and somehow rebuilt it was gone. Turn around, Eli said. Victor's eyes snapped to the rearview mirror. What? Turn around. We're going back. Like hell. He's going to die. He's buying you time. I don't want time. Eli's voice cracked. I want. He stopped, because he knew what he wanted. And it was impossible, and terrifying, and too late. Victor kept driving. Eli closed his eyes, held the pup, and prayed to a god he didn't believe in that Leon would survive. Leon lasted 43 minutes. Longer than expected. Long enough. When Pavel finally cornered him, gun-trained, backup surrounding. Leon was bleeding from 6 different wounds. Volkov. Pavel smiled. You cost me 8 men. Should have been 12. Pavel laughed. Where's the Omega? Gone. Kozlov's gonna be pissed. Tell him, Leon coughed, blood on his lips. Tell him to come take it up with me personally. You won't live that long. Leon smiled. Don't need to. He detonated the final charge. The one he'd been saving. The one rigged to the panic room's structural supports. The explosion was massive. Took out Pavel. Took out the remaining men. Took out half the house. Leon felt the blast wave hit. Felt his body lift. Felt pain. Then nothing. The helicopter was waiting. Victor hustled them toward it, engines already running. The pup was crying. Eli was numb. They were 10 feet from the door when Victor's phone rang. He answered, listened, went perfectly still. Say that again. A pause. Then Victor looked at Eli, something unreadable in his eyes. He's alive. Eli's world stopped. What? Leon. He's alive. Barely. But Victor's voice was thick. Medical teams extracting him now. Eli couldn't breathe, couldn't think, couldn't process. The pup looked up at him. Papa. Hope. Fragile. Desperate. Real. Eli looked at Victor. Where? Private hospital. 40 minutes south. Take us there. Eli, the extraction. I don't care. Eli's voice was steel. Take us to Leon. Victor stared at him, then nodded. Okay. They changed course. And Eli held the pup close, heart hammering, and realized he'd stopped running, stopped hiding, stopped pretending he didn't care. Leon had destroyed him. Leon had saved him. Leon had given him purpose when he had nothing left. And Eli was in love with him. God help them both. Leon woke to white. White ceiling, white walls, white sheets, pain everywhere. He tried to move. Bad idea. His body screamed in protest. Ribs, shoulder, leg, everything. Don't. The voice was soft, familiar, impossible. Leon's head turned, slowly, agonizingly, and found Eli, sitting beside the bed. Dark circles under his eyes, hair messy, clothes rumpled, hand resting on his stomach. Always. You're alive, Leon rasped. So are you. Wasn't supposed to be. I know. Silence stretched. Leon stared at Eli, trying to understand. Why are you here? Eli's jaw tightened. Your son wouldn't stop crying. Leon's chest cracked. Where is he? With Victor. Down the hall. Eli's voice softened. He's okay. Scared. But okay. He should be far away from here. Both of you should. Probably. Eli. Kozlov's dead. Leon stopped breathing. What? Pavel too. Most of his men. Eli's eyes were hard. The explosion took out the strike team. Victor handled the rest. Kozlov tried to retaliate. Victor got to him first. How many casualties on our side? 14 dead. 23 injured. You nearly bled out twice during extraction. Leon processed this. His organization was crippled. His rivals would circle like sharks. Everything he'd built was collapsing. And he didn't care. The pup, Leon said. Is he? He's fine. Physically. Emotionally, Eli stopped. He thought you were dead. Guilt twisted in Leon's gut. I'm sorry. Don't apologize to me. Apologize to him. I will. Another silence. Longer. Heavier. You should go, Leon said finally. Eli blinked. What? You and the pup. Victor will set you up. New identity. Money. Protection. Somewhere safe. Somewhere I can't. Leon's voice cracked. Somewhere I can't ruin. No. One word. Absolute. Leon stared at him. Eli. I said no. You don't understand. I understand perfectly. Eli stood, moved closer to the bed. You destroyed my life, killed my mentor, trapped me, lied to me, nearly got yourself killed. Exactly. So. And I'm staying anyway. Leon's world tilted. Why? Eli's hands clenched. Because your son needs stability. Needs someone who understands him. Needs. He stopped. Because I made a promise. To who? To myself. Eli's voice was quiet. That I wouldn't abandon another child who needed me. Leon's throat closed. You don't owe us anything. I know. You could have a life. A real one. Away from this world. I could. Eli's hand moved to his stomach. But my child deserves a father who's present. Who tries. Who? He looked at Leon. Who's willing to die protecting them. The words hung in the air. Leon couldn't breathe. Your child? Yes. I'm not. Leon stopped. You're not bonded to me. No. So why? Because I choose you anyway. The confession shattered something in Leon's chest. Eli, I'm not saying I forgive you. Eli's voice was steel. I'm saying I'm staying. For the pup. For my child. He stopped. For me. What do you want from me? Change. One word. Impossible. Terrifying. Real. I don't know how, Leon admitted. Then learn. I'm not. Leon looked away. I'm not good. I've done terrible things. I'll probably do more. I can't promise. I'm not asking for perfection. Eli sat down again. Closer this time. I'm asking for effort. And if I fail, then we figure it out. Eli's hand moved, slowly, carefully, and rested on the bed near Leon's. Together, Leon stared at those fingers. So close, not touching, not yet. I love my son, Leon said quietly. I know. I think, Leon's voice cracked. I think I'm falling in love with you too. Eli's breath stopped. That's a terrible idea. I know. We'll probably destroy each other. Probably. And your world, it'll try to destroy us anyway. Yes. Eli looked at him for a long moment. Then carefully, so carefully, his hand moved, covered Leon's. Warm, real, present. Then I guess we better be tougher than your world. Leon's vision blurred. He turned his hand over, threaded his fingers through Eli's, held on like a lifeline. I'm sorry, he whispered, for everything. I know. I'll spend the rest of my life making it up to you. That's a long time. I have time. Eli smiled. Small, fragile, real. Then start now. The pup burst into the room 3 minutes later. Victor tried to stop him, failed. The child launched himself at the bed, crying, grabbing Leon's free hand. Papa! Leon pulled him close despite the pain. Hey, buddy. I'm okay. I'm okay. The pup sobbed into Leon's chest. Eli moved to give them space, but Leon's hand tightened on his, held him there. Stay. Not a command. A plea. Eli stayed. They sat like that, broken alpha, traumatized child, pregnant omega, and somehow, impossibly, it felt like family. Victor appeared in the doorway an hour later. Sir, we have a problem. Of course they did. What now? Your rivals are moving. They think you're weak. Victor hesitated. They're coming for the territory. Leon should have cared, should have strategized, should have done something, but he looked at Eli, at his son, at the life he almost hadn't survived to see. Let them, Leon said. Victor's eyes widened. Sir, pull back, consolidate what we can hold, cut losses on the rest. But I'm done expanding. Leon's voice was firm. I'm done sacrificing everything for power. From now on, he looked at Eli. We protect what matters. Eli's breath caught. Victor stared at Leon like he'd grown a second head. You're retiring? I'm adapting. The men won't. The men will follow orders or find new employment. Leon's eyes hardened. I've spent 15 years building an empire. Time to figure out if I can build a life. Victor looked at Eli, at the pup, at Leon, then nodded slowly. Okay, boss. He left. Leon looked at Eli. Think I can do it? Build a life? Yeah. Eli's hand squeezed his. I think you can try. That enough. For now. Leon smiled. Real. Genuine. Hopeful. Then let's start. 6 months later. The estate was quieter now. Smaller staff. Fewer guards. Less blood. Leon had cut his organization down to essentials, protection, legitimate businesses, strategic holdings. Everything else he'd sold or abandoned. His rivals had swarmed the vacant territory like wolves. Let them. Leon had other priorities, like the child sleeping in his arms. 3 months old. Dark hair. Eli's eyes. Perfect tiny fingers wrapped around Leon's thumb. Their daughter. Not biologically Leon's, biology was complicated, virgin pregnancies were rare, and Eli's body had done something miraculous and inexplicable. But Leon's anyway. in every way that mattered. She's beautiful, Victor said from the doorway. Leon looked up. His second-in-command looked tired, older. The last 6 months had been brutal, restructuring, consolidating, fighting off vultures. But they'd survived. She is, Leon agreed quietly. The pup's asking for you. Something about the new blocks. Leon smiled. His son, 7 now, verbal, still cautious but thriving, had discovered a love of building things. Towers, bridges, complex structures that defied gravity. Eli said it was the engineering brain finally finding expression. Leon said it was magic. Tell him I'll be there in 5. Victor nodded, started to leave, stopped. Boss. Yeah, you made the right call. Leon looked down at his daughter, at the peaceful estate beyond the window, at the life he'd built from ashes. I know. Victor left. Leon sat with his daughter for another few minutes, just breathing, just existing, just being dad. Then he heard footsteps. Eli appeared, hair damp from a shower, wearing soft clothes, moving carefully. Still recovering from the birth, still adjusting to the changes. Still the most beautiful thing Leon had ever seen. She sleeping? Eli asked softly. Finally. Eli sat beside Leon on the couch. Close, comfortable, easy. They'd bonded 3 months ago. Not formally. Eli had refused the traditional ceremony. Said he didn't need a ritual to prove commitment. But the bond was there anyway. In the way Eli leaned into Leon's space. In the way Leon's alpha instincts had shifted from dominate to protect. In the way they'd learned to navigate each other's triggers, traumas, and truths. It wasn't perfect. Eli still had nightmares about the fire. Leon still struggled with guilt. They fought about parenting, about safety, about the lingering violence in Leon's world. But they stayed, chose each other, every day. The pup wants you, Eli said. Something about his tower falling. It always falls. And you always help him rebuild. Leon looked at Eli. Really looked. I don't deserve you. Probably not. But you're staying anyway. Probably am. Eli smiled. Soft. Real. Someone has to keep you from making terrible decisions. I make great decisions. You blew up a house with yourself in it. That was tactical. That was stupid. Leon laughed. Quiet. Genuine. He shifted the baby carefully, freeing one arm. Wrapped it around Eli. Pulled him close. Thank you, Leon said quietly. For what? Choosing me. Staying. Giving me a chance to be. He paused. Better. Eli's hand moved to rest on Leon's chest. Over his heart. You're welcome. They sat in silence. The baby breathed softly. The pup called from upstairs. Papa! Eli! Come see. And Leon realized this was it. This was the life he'd almost missed. The family he'd almost destroyed. The love he'd never thought he deserved. We should go, Eli said, before he starts crying. He doesn't cry anymore. He will if we ignore him. Fair point. Leon stood carefully. Eli took the baby. Practiced, gentle, natural. They walked upstairs together. Found the pup in his room, surrounded by blocks. Frustrated but determined. It keeps falling, the pup said. Leon crouched beside him. Show me. The pup explained his design. Complex, ambitious, probably impossible. Leon helped him problem solve. Eli sat on the floor nearby, the baby in his lap, watching them work. And Leon thought, this is enough. This is everything. This is home. Later that night, after the pup was asleep and the baby was fed and the estate was quiet, Leon found Eli in their bedroom. Their room. No separate spaces anymore. No walls. Just them. Eli was standing by the window, looking out at the dark grounds. You okay? Leon asked. Thinking. About. Eli turned. His eyes were serious. About where we'd be if your men had grabbed the right truck. Leon's chest tightened. Eli, if I'd never ended up here, never met the pup, never... Eli stopped. I try to imagine it sometimes, but I can't. Would you change it? Leon asked quietly. If you could go back? Eli was silent for a long moment. Ask me a year ago, I would have said yes, instantly. And now? Eli crossed to him, stood close, looked up at Leon with those dark, endless eyes. Now I'd say, he paused, I'd say you destroyed everything I had. And then you gave me everything I needed. Leon's breath stopped. I love you, he said. 3 words he'd never thought he'd mean. 3 words that terrified him. 3 words that were absolutely, undeniably true. Eli smiled, said, complicated, real. I know. He rose on his toes, kissed Leon. Soft, gentle, sure. Leon pulled him close, careful of Eli's still healing body, mindful of the child sleeping down the hall, present, here, real. When they broke apart, Eli's hand moved to cup Leon's face. I love you too, he whispered, even though you're an absolute disaster. Leon laughed quietly, working on it. I know. They stood together in the darkness. 2 impossible people, 1 impossible family, 1 impossible future, and somehow, against all odds, against all reason, against the violence and blood and ash of their past, it was enough. 3 years later, the pup was 10, building entire cities now, talking constantly, excited, animated, brilliant. The daughter was 3, fearless, loud, absolutely adored by her older brother. And Eli was standing in the garden, hand on his stomach again. 8 weeks along, 2nd pregnancy, this time planned, this time wanted. This time, Leon's biological child. The bond had settled something in Eli's body, made pregnancy possible in ways it hadn't been before. Leon found him there, wrapped his arms around Eli from behind, rested his chin on Eli's shoulder. You okay? Nervous. About everything. Eli's hand covered Leon's. About whether we can handle 3 kids. About whether the world will let us keep this. About. We'll figure it out. How do you know? Because we always do. Eli leaned back into Leon's warmth. You've gotten soft. Terrifying, isn't it? Completely. They stood like that, watching the kids play, watching the sunset, watching the life they'd built. And Leon thought about the man he'd been, the monster, the killer, the alpha who'd burned the world because he could. That man was still there, still buried under the surface, still capable of violence. But that man wasn't who he chose to be anymore. Now he chose this, chose family, chose love, chose the Omega who'd walked into his life by accident and stayed by choice. Thank you, Leon said quietly. For what? For not giving up on me. Eli turned in his arms, looked up at him. Thank you for giving me something worth staying for. Leon kissed him. Long, deep, sure. And somewhere between the first kiss and the last, between the blood and the ash and the impossible choices, they'd found home. Not perfect, not safe, but theirs. And that was everything.